If you thought that Himalaya Birkins and Kellys were the rarest Hermes pieces walking this earth, you definitely want to see and hear about this. Hey friends, my name is G.P.S. and welcome back. A few weeks ago, I was asked by Hermes if I would be interested in placing a special order for a pair of custom sneakers, which got me thinking about all the exclusive experiences that Hermes offers to their most loyal clients, on top of the most well-known and most often talked about special order or a la carte bags, which are exciting and thrilling, but they're really just the icing on the cake because there is so much more that Hermes has to offer for customers who want to get more involved with the brand, shall we say. And today we'll be discussing most of them, from the ones that you can take advantage of with virtually no purchase history to the ones that are reserved for the true VICs of the brand. So if you'd like to discover the hidden world of bespoke Hermes pieces, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and keep on watching. When I tell you that everything is possible with Hermes, I actually mean it. And all you have to do is ask, or in some cases be a loyal customer. But I try to pick a variety of services that you can enjoy, and I think we should start with the ones that are the least involved, and then we'll move our way towards the ones that are truly bespoke. But the first one happens to be one of my favorite services that Hermes offers, which is having your leather pieces personalized with your initials. Basically any regular leather piece that you purchase from Hermes that is fully made of leather, so it doesn't have a silk or canvas lining and is made of regular leather, not exotic skin, can actually be embossed with your initials or a series of letters that you choose, which I think is an amazing way of just adding a personalized touch to whatever piece you have in your collection. Obviously, most often people take advantage of this when they buy a new bag. They usually get their new bag monogrammed, but you can really choose any piece from Hermes to get embossed with your initials. So something that I have done in the past is my Ulysses notebooks. And there are only a couple of things that you have to keep in mind if you're going to move ahead with this service. Number one is that it's free of charge, whether you purchase your piece directly from Hermes or from the pre-loved market. Hermes will be more than happy to have it embossed for you, free of charge. Of course, as long as the piece is authentic, which by the way, this is a great way of getting a piece authenticated. If you bought something pre-loved and you're not 100% convinced, if you drop it off at Hermes and they're willing to work on it, that kind of implies that the piece is authentic, but they're not going to charge you for it. And then if you are going to go ahead with getting something monogrammed, they will give you the option to choose not only from a couple of different fonts that they have available, but also different sizes as well as color. When it comes to the color of the embossing, they have 3 options, but technically only 2 depending on the hardware of your piece. So even though they offer palladium, gold, and blind embossing, they won't be able to emboss your piece with, let's say, gold if the hardware is in palladium. So you can really only choose the color of the hardware, or you can choose blind embossing. I personally always go for blind embossing. I just find it a little bit more subtle and understated, but it's still there and you can still pick up on it. Now, if you're getting something like a Birkin or a Kelly engraved, it's going to be just slightly more complex than getting something like this done, because on a piece like this in SLG, you only have the option for different fonts, different sizes for the font, the coloring, and then they'll ask you whether you want it on the back or on the front. But when it comes to bags like the Birkin and the Kelly, they'll ask for the exact placement where you want the initials. And you do have a few options. So in a Birkin or a Kelly, you can choose your initials to be either on the flap on the outside, underneath the twist closure, or the back of the sangle. which I personally would not recommend any one of these. In the past, I compared getting a Birkin or a Kelly engraved on the bag itself to getting a lower back tattoo. It might sound like a good idea as you're doing it, but I don't think it's a smart decision long term. So what I did in the past and what I would recommend for you to do as well is to actually get the clochette that comes with your bag embossed. I think it is just so much more elegant and understated than for anything to go on your actual bag. And that is pretty much everything you have to know about it. You can take your piece in to your local boutique, and if they have an on-site craftsman, they can do it either on the spot or within a couple of days. But even if they don't, I'm sure that they'll be more than happy to ship it to the closest workshop on your behalf. To enjoy the next service, you won't even have to leave the comfort of your home or even your couch. Yet, you will end up with a customized Hermes piece that was specifically crafted for you, which is getting a special order Calvi or Bastia ordered on the Hermes website. When this service first launched in 2020, I did an entire video on going through the process, but long story short, you basically can choose from ordering a Bastia or a Calvi, both of which are pieces that I have done in-depth reviews on. You can choose whichever style you prefer, and then you walk through the Hermes website. It is a really straightforward process. You choose the color of the piece on the outside, you choose the color of the lining. One thing for you to know is that you cannot actually choose the same color to be on the outside as it is on the inside. So you will have to create something that Hermes calls a verso version, which basically means that the lining and the exterior color are two different shades. And then you can also choose it to be engraved with either your initials or a little symbol by Hermes. And that is pretty much it. Your piece should show up within a few weeks. And I must add that shortly after introducing the customized Calvis and Bastias, they actually introduced a customization service for certain scarves. So each season they have a couple of prints to choose from that you can have decorated with either your initials or a quote or something that is close to you. You can choose, I believe, up to 24 characters that will be printed on a scarf. And speaking of scarves, the next experience I feel is worth knowing about if you're a lover of Hermes silk. And this is something that Hermes used to do worldwide, but I think over the years it has become quite exclusive, which is basically turning Hermes silk scarves into shirts. The idea is that if there's an Hermes scarf in the portfolio that catches your eye, you can pick up a handful of them that Hermes will take and transform into a custom shirt for you. So they will take your measurements based on those. They will tell you how many scarves you will need to buy. You will purchase those scarves, they'll be sent away, and an Hermes tailor will make those into an actual finished shirt for you, which I not only think is incredibly creative, but it's also genius, because some of Hermes's prints on silk are honestly like a piece of art. They are so detail oriented and beautifully done, and you cannot really enjoy them and even see them perfectly when you have them all bunched up wrapped around your neck. But by putting them onto a shirt, I think they truly come alive. So if you love Hermes silks, this is definitely something that you want to look into. As I mentioned, you will have to buy a handful of scarves. I believe it's upwards of 4 depending on the style of the shirt and of course your measurements. But I do think it's very much worth the money, because it is one of the most unique ways of enjoying one of the things that Hermes is most well known for, which is their incredible silk prints. Before moving on to the next experience, the one that would go in between getting your silk shirt done and the next one coming up, in my opinion, would be the a la carte bags, which are also known as special order bags or horseshoe stem bags, which I have several videos on. I can think of 2 in particular. One that is on my personal special order experience, as well as one that I did recently just on the basics of it, both of which I will make sure to link down below in case you want to learn more about this very exclusive experience. But basically, long story short, Hermes offers the chance to some of their best clients To place an order for their dream bag, they sit down with them either in the spring or in the fall, and they can place an order for whatever bag they're dreaming of, as long as it's still in production. So the Bolide, the Lindy, those are all bags that can be chosen. But of course, most people tend to go for Birkins, Kellys, and even Constances, bags that are a little bit more difficult to come by. And you can choose every single spec of the bag, from the size through the color of the lining, obviously the base color of the bag, the color of the stitching, if it comes with the strap, in most cases even the length of the strap. And then of course you can have it monogrammed all in one go if you want to. I personally wouldn't. If you're getting a special order bag, don't get it monogrammed right on the spot. Maybe see the bag, wait for it to come in, and then you can decide whether it really needs your initials or not. But that is just me. And basically Hermes promises that your bag will come in within a few months to a couple of years. In some cases it does take a couple of years. And that's basically the whole idea of getting a special order bag made. But I thought, since we're talking about all these different services, I would address some of the questions that I got this past spring, because when the special order season came around this past year, my DMs were flooded with questions, and I thought we could address some of them, or at least two of the ones that I kept seeing come up over and over again. One of them was about payment and how you have to pay for special order bags, how much it's going to cost, when you have to pay for it. So basically, getting a special order bag is not guaranteed. Even if you are there placing an order, the bag is not guaranteed that it will be made and delivered by Hermes. Hence, you don't actually have to pay for the bag on the spot. You will only be required to pay for your bag when it comes in. Whether it takes 6 months or 6 years, it doesn't matter. You will only be paying for the bag when it actually arrives to your home store. And in terms of pricing, special order bags are the same price as a regular bag would be in the same leather. So if you choose a Togo Birkin, which let's say is $100, your special order Birkin will also be $100. They won't actually charge you anymore for the bag being custom. And I know some people find it frustrating that they don't charge you on the spot because they don't feel like it's actually happening. But there's one thing that you have to keep in mind, which is, if let's say you placed an order for a bag in 2018, but your bag doesn't get delivered until 2021, if within those 3 years Hermes has, let's say, 3 price increases, you won't actually be affected by any one of them, because when your bag comes in, you will only be charged for the price of the bag that it would have been back when you placed your order, which I think is really fair, considering that when you're placing your order, you cannot predict that Hermes will have, I don't know how many price increases. So that is a great way for you to save some money. Obviously, no one wants to wait for a bag for a few years, but if you do, that is just good to know. And then the other question that I kept seeing is how often you can place a special order, which really depends on where you shop and how big your boutique is. And I would also add, personally, is how long you've been with the brand. Because if you're brand new to Hermes, you have not received any bags from them, I really wouldn't think about getting a special order bag, because it is such a lengthy and complex process. Enjoyable, but it does take a while. And you will be asked so many questions that you really have to know what you love and what you dislike. That in my opinion, if you're newer to the brand, you're better off buying your first, second, maybe even third bag off the shelf than placing a special order, waiting for it, and then if it comes in, if it's in a shape or in a size that you've never seen before, you might find that you just wasted this opportunity and you could have got something much better directly from the store that you would have not had to wait for quite as long. But that is just my personal advice. And when it comes to how often you can actually get one, it depends usually on how large your store is, because the bigger the store, the more special order bags they have to give out. And the smaller the store, the fewer number of special orders they'll be able to place and request from the corporate office. So I have friends who shop at flagship stores who've religiously placed a special order maybe not every single season, but definitely at least once a year. Whereas when I shopped in the US, I shopped at a smaller store, which is where I placed my special order, that had a really select number of bags that they were able to request. So what they did is they rotated the clients who were able to place special orders. So you couldn't place an order every single year. It had to go around, which I think is very fair. We are really getting into the most exclusive, most high-end bespoke pieces by Hermes, where your only limit is your imagination. And there are still a couple of tiers to go through. So I think let's start with bespoke ready to wear, which is something that you'll most likely have to visit a flagship store to be able to take advantage of. A boutique that has a master tailor on site. So in the US, you'll probably have to go to either Beverly Hills or visit the men's store on Madison Avenue in New York. Or if you're in Europe, probably fly to Paris. But basically, this is a service where you sit down with a master tailor by the brand. You go through pieces that you want to have in your collection, ready to wear to be specific. And they basically take your measurements and create whatever you want for you. Some of the major categories that they do are obviously tailoring, so suits and jackets. They also create beautiful shirts. At one point, they also offered knitwear, so wool pieces and cashmere pieces, as well as at one point I was shown a sports jacket. And the one that I got to see had this really interesting H quilting all over it. But basically, any wardrobe staples that you can think of, Hermes is able to create specifically for you, based on your measurements, based on your preferences, as well as using fabrics that you choose. So as we talked about silk, they can turn silk into shirts, but they also offer regular shirts. And if you decide to move ahead and place an order for one of their blazers, they can actually use their silk scarves as lining. So if you want a beautiful classic suit with a twist, if you want the suit to have a unique lining to show off when you open up your suit jacket, you can actually pick up a handful of scarves and they can use that as some sort of a lining. And I believe they can also do that if you order a custom leather jacket. So as I'm telling you, really the sky's the limit, and maybe how much you want to spend on these pieces. Everything else Hermes is able to do for you. But if you don't live near a flagship store, it can be quite tricky for you to really enjoy this. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's off limits for you. Hermes used to have this almost sort of traveling experience where a master tailor went from store to store. And they basically gave the chance to local clients to place a bespoke order on the spot for whatever pieces they wanted. And last but most certainly not least, if you thought that Himalaya Birkins and Kellys were the rarest Hermes pieces walking this earth, you definitely want to see and hear about this, because Hermes has a special project that is reserved for the true VICs of the brand. This is not something that anyone could just request. This will take the extra mile from everyone that you work with, and it will be lengthy and expensive. But Hermes has something that I believe they call the Horizon project, which basically allows some of Hermes's best clients to place an order for whatever object they want Hermes to create specifically for them. Usually this is a service that has nothing to do with Kellys or Birkins, although I believe that they have developed some pretty spectacular bag within this setup, but usually this is more about unique creations that are truly one of a kind. So imagine that you, I don't know, let's say that you love pineapples and you eat a pineapple every single day. I'm going to use it as an example because it has a weird shape to it. So imagine that you love pineapples and you want to create a leather case or a leather trunk to carry around your pineapple with you all day long. If you are one of the best Hermes clients, you can actually go into your store, take a pineapple with you, And Hermes will be able to set up an appointment for you with a master craftsman, a master tailor, an engineer, a product developer, a product designer, whoever they need to make your dreams come true. So if you want a case for your pineapple, they'll make it happen, they'll create sketches, they'll create mock-ups, and they will deliver the exact piece that your heart desires, that of course you will be the first and most likely only person to have. Although I think, and that at this point is just my speculation, I have a feeling that once they develop these pieces, it will influence everything else that they create in their core collection. But at that point, it will be a one-of-a-kind piece that they create for you. So I think the craziest things that I've seen and I've heard of were a case for someone's apple who loved apples and she wanted to carry an apple with her every single day. So Hermes created a case specifically for her apples. I know that Hermes has done car interiors and trunks for traveling, even though that's not technically their specialty. But there's essentially no limit. Whatever your heart desires, whatever you dream of, Hermes will make it happen. Be it the interior of a vintage car, a fruit-shaped bag, or even a bag set with fancy colored diamonds, they will craft it for you. These are not all the exclusive opportunities that Hermes offers, but some of the most exciting ones. And I didn't talk about the one with the shoes, quite frankly, because I haven't decided if I'm going to move ahead with them yet. And if I do, obviously you will be first to know. And if I don't, perhaps I can give you an update in an upcoming video. But if you enjoy this and if you'd like me to make more videos like this, then be sure to give this a thumbs up and don't forget to hit subscribe down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you back here on Tuesday with a new video. Bye!